The demands from the stars. The stars were peaceful for many years. The Galactic Council ruled over hundreds of alien worlds. They believed they were the law of the galaxy. No one dared to say no to them. No one questioned their orders, until they reached Earth. One day, a giant golden ship appeared in orbit around Earth. It was not from any known nation. It was massive, shaped like a floating crown. Every satellite around Earth captured the moment it arrived. The ship sent a signal, a powerful message. It was broadcast in every language humans knew, and even some they didn't. "We are the Galactic Council," the message said. "You are a young and dangerous species. Your weapons, your science, your spirit, it is unpredictable. You will disarm and hand over your technology. You will obey the Council from this moment forward. You have 7 solar cycles to submit." The people of Earth were shocked. Social media exploded with posts, theories, and memes. Some thought it was a joke, others feared it was the end. Governments called emergency meetings. Leaders from every country gathered. Everyone waited for Earth's official response. But Earth did not reply right away. Instead, they listened, watched, studied the Council's ship, in hidden bases deep under the ocean, and secret labs on the Moon and Mars. Human scientists worked in silence. Old warnings were brought back. Old names were spoken again. Names forgotten in history. Names like Project Echo and the Voron Files. Earth didn't panic. They prepared, as if they already knew this day would come. The Council waited, growing impatient. After 3 solar cycles, they sent a second message. It was louder, more aggressive. "You will respond," they demanded, "or face the consequences of defiance." Then something strange happened. On the 4th solar cycle, Earth finally sent a reply, but it was not a message. Not in words, not in any known form. The Council's ship received a single file, a simple pulse of energy. It looked harmless, but the moment it touched the Council's systems, everything changed. The golden ship froze, its lights dimmed, its engines stopped, its signal went dead. Inside the Galactic Council, across the stars, alarms rang out. The pulse traveled through their systems like fire, but it didn't destroy anything. It simply shut it all down, silently, completely. The Council's command station on the planet Veltrax tried to trace it, but their computers failed. Their AI refused to answer. Even the ancient knowledge cores went blank. A single sentence appeared on every Council screen, written in a forgotten language. A language the galaxy hadn't seen in thousands of years. It said, "You should have left Earth alone." Panic spread among the Council members. They had never seen such silence before. They had controlled thousands of worlds, but now one small planet had answered them with a whisper and shut down the stars. On Earth, no one celebrated. There were no news reports, no victory speeches. The skies were quiet, but every human seemed to know this was just the beginning. Somewhere deep in the Arctic ice, an old man stood outside a forgotten bunker. He looked up at the night sky and whispered, "They spoke first. Now they will learn what Earth remembers." Echoes through the void. The silence was louder than war. Across the galaxy, alien races paused in shock. They had all seen what Earth did. No weapons fired, no ships launched, just a single pulse from a small blue world, and the mighty Galactic Council had gone quiet. On the planet Catharn, the lizard-like Vurakai stopped their mining drills. On the floating cities of the Jinnery, song waves halted mid-note. Even the insectoid Jatok hive queens paused their eternal marching. Something powerful. Bell had moved, something old, something forgotten. The Council's silence spread fear faster than light. Civilizations that once laughed at humans now stared at Earth with new eyes. Some thought Earth had discovered a secret weapon. Others believed it was an accident, but the oldest races knew better. On a dark moon orbiting a dead sun, a race called the Vorons stirred from exile. They were once part of the Council, long ago, before they were erased. Now they looked toward Earth with respect and fear. One Voron elder spoke a warning to the stars. "If Earth remembers," he said, "then the galaxy has forgotten too much." Back in the Council's chambers, chaos reigned. The golden ship near Earth remained dead. It hadn't moved in 2 days. Inside, Council envoys were trapped, systems offline, no escape. Engineers worked to reboot their systems, but the main AI core only repeated one phrase: "Connection established, Earth acknowledged." The council tried to deny what was happening. They sent messages to other empires, trying to spin the event as a malfunction. But the recordings spoke for themselves. Billions across the stars had already seen the moment Earth responded. It wasn't just a pulse. It was a message hidden in ancient quantum code, a signal not used for over 10,000 years. Only one species had ever used it. Long before the current council existed, that species was marked extinct. That species was human. The council panicked. Not because of the silence, but because of what it meant. If Earth still had that code, it meant they remembered the old days, the time before the council, the wars, the betrayal, the exodus. A special meeting was called. Council leaders gathered in secret. Whispers of human ascension protocols spread like wildfire. A phrase locked in the oldest files. A phrase that should have never been read again. Meanwhile, on Earth, the world was changing. Satellites shifted orbit, moving like they had a mind of their own. Deep-sea cables lit up with strange patterns. In Antarctica, a massive structure began to hum. Under the ice, but no announcements were made. No one claimed victory. Earth remained quiet, but every move was watched by trillions. And then it happened. A new fleet appeared on the edge of known space. Not council ships, not any known design. Black as the void, smooth as glass. These ships bore no weapons, at least none that could be seen, but they radiated something older than power, authority. They didn't attack, they didn't speak, they just moved, right toward the Galactic Council's core systems. One ship stopped near the planet Gavilon. It hovered in silence. Then a simple message was broadcast. In English, "We are what you left behind." A council admiral screamed in fear. "They've returned," he cried. "The ancients, the exiled, the humans." But his voice was cut off as every council ship near the human fleet simply vanished from sensors. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. Across the galaxy, all broadcasts froze. One final message echoed through the void. It was from Earth, and it said, "We didn't come to conquer. We came to correct." The Council's arrogance. The Galactic Council had ruled for thousands of years. They built empires, controlled trade, and wiped out rebellions with ease. They believed they were the center of civilization. So when Earth responded with silence and power, they didn't understand. And when they didn't understand, they grew angry. In the Grand Hall of Verome, deep within the Council capital, High Chancellor Drezek slammed his fist on the crystal table. "Enough of this nonsense," he growled. "They are primitives, not gods." Other council members shouted in agreement. Some were afraid, but most were too proud to admit it, too proud to believe Earth had become something greater. The vote was quick, 742 in favor, 18 against. Earth would be punished. Council warships were ordered to move. 2 refleets, each one carrying weapons that had ended planets before. Super beams, planet drills, gravity imploders. They were confident no species could survive what was coming. As the fleets prepared, alien media flooded with excitement. Propaganda showed Earth cities crumbling, simulations of humans begging for mercy. The galaxy watched, ready to enjoy the fall of Earth, but Earth did not panic. In fact, Earth didn't say anything at all. Their systems remained quiet, their skies clear. But beyond the atmosphere, behind Earth's moon, something waited. It was not part of the official records, not part of Earth's known arsenal. It was called Sentinel-1, a ship not made of metal, but of light and memory. The Council's first fleet reached Mars' orbit, expecting resistance. They found nothing. Mars was empty. Satellites burned away, colonies dark. Then a voice whispered across their systems, a human voice. "Congratulations," it said. "You've arrived exactly where we want you." In an instant, the entire fleet vanished. No explosion, no trace. Just gone. Across the galaxy, everyone watching gasped. Even the Council's broadcast screens went black. Panic spread again, but still the Council refused to stop. Glitches, they called it. Technological tricks, they claimed. They launched Fleet 2, larger, angrier, faster. This time, they carried jamming fields, psychic dampeners, anti-AI virus clouds. They believed no signal, no machine, no mind could defeat them. But halfway through their journey, the stars around them blinked, literally blinked, like eyes closing and opening again. Their navigation failed, their maps twisted, and suddenly, they weren't near Earth anymore. They were inside a nebula that didn't exist on any chart. Then they saw it. A shape, impossible to define. It wasn't a ship or a station. It was something alive, made of memory, thought, and rage. The crew screamed. Some collapsed, clutching their heads. Others tried to fire, but their weapons melted. Their AI cried for help, then fell silent forever, back on the Council. The homeworld reports came in. Fleet 2, gone. One survivor left a final message before his mind broke. He whispered, "Earth is not a planet, it is a test." But even now, the Council would not back down. Fleet 3 was already en route, this time led by Drezek himself. The Chancellor would show the galaxy that no one challenged the Council and lived. He stood aboard his personal flagship, looking proud, armored in gold. He pointed toward the Earth system and said, "Burn them." But in that exact moment, all power on his ship failed. The lights died, engines shut down, shields fell. The view screen flickered and a single face appeared. A human face, calm, unblinking. An old woman, her voice kind and sharp. She said, "Child, you are still playing at empires. Let me remind you what Earth truly is." When silence roars, the Council's Third Fleet never returned. Not a single ship, not a single signal. It was as if the stars themselves had swallowed them whole. Back on Earth, there were no celebrations, no news reports, no public speeches, only silence. But it was a silence that roared louder than any war. In a dark orbit beyond Saturn, something ancient awakened, a station hidden inside one of Saturn's rings. Its name was never spoken out loud, only known in the files of a secret project, Echo Core. Inside, humans moved like shadows. No uniforms, no ranks, just purpose. They carried codes instead of weapons. They didn't prepare for war. They prepared for a response. High above Earth, hidden behind the moon, something shimmered into existence. A vessel. But not like the ones the Council knew. It had no engines, no metal hull. It looked like a ripple in space, a wound in reality itself. The humans called it the mirror, because when others looked into it, it showed them what they feared the most. The mirror moved, slow, quiet, like a ghost among stars. It passed through all debris, through ships, through shields, and every Council sensor failed to register it. One Council scout ship detected movement and approached. Inside were 6 elite officers trained for all threats. They laughed when they saw the ripple. They called it a glitch. They fired at it. The ripple didn't move, but the ship did. It turned around and aimed its weapons at itself. The crew screamed, tried to override the system, but something had taken control, something that lived inside the mirror. Moments later, the ship vanished in a blink of light. The galaxy watched in silence. Millions of species stared at their screens. No one dared speak. And then, Earth sent a transmission, not loud, not long, just a whisper across the stars. In a calm voice it said, "We warned you." In the Council chambers, fear became fury. They tried to shut down all public broadcasts, tried to silence the news, but the people had already seen too much. Empires that once obeyed the Council began asking questions. Why had Earth been targeted? Why had 3 fleets vanished? Why had the Council provoked a world that never attacked first? Then something impossible happened. A single human vessel entered Council space. No escort, no weapons online, just one ship, floating silently. Council forces moved to intercept. Thousands of ships surrounded it, but none could get close. The moment they moved, their systems crashed, their ships turned cold, and then, empty. Inside the human ship was no crew, no life signs, only a single device. It activated and projected a hologram of an old man. He wore a simple suit, no medals, no rank. He looked into the camera and smiled. He said, "We were once part of this galaxy. Before the Council, before the lies. You erased our history. You erased our name. But Earth does not forget." He raised a hand slowly, and the stars behind him twisted. Space itself bent like fabric, one by one. Stars near Council territory dimmed, not destroyed, but hidden, locked behind invisible walls built by Earth. His ancient technology, the message ended, and the device shut off. The human ship simply faded from view. The Council tried to recover control, but for the first time in history, they had no answer. Their enemies were not attacking with weapons, they were attacking with memory and with silence. A silence that spoke of betrayal, a silence that now ruled the stars. The first strike. The Council had lost 3 fleets. Their systems were failing. Their enemies had not fired a single weapon, yet their ships vanished. Their stars dimmed, their pride shattered. Still, the High Chancellor Drezek refused to surrender. He stood before the council assembly, his voice shaking with rage. They use fear, illusions, tricks, he shouted. They are not gods. They are cowards in the dark. The council approved one last attempt, a final strike. They called it Operation Final Light, a plan to fire the council's most powerful weapon, the Stellar Lance. A weapon not built to fight armies, but to crack open planets. They targeted Earth. From a distance of 4 light-years, a secret station near the Black Flame Nebula charged the Stellar Lance. It would take only one shot, and Earth would be nothing but dust. The galaxy watched in silence. Some cheered, others prayed. The weapon was aimed, locked, and counting down. But the moment the charge reached 80%, the station's core went cold, not destroyed, just frozen in time, as if time itself had paused. The screens on the station blinked, a signal forced its way in, a face appeared, an Earth child, no older than 10. She smiled softly and said, "You're not supposed to break toys that aren't yours." And the entire Stellar Lance vanished. Gone without sound, without trace. Back at the council, panic broke into screaming. Drezek ordered a full military lockdown, but his command was met with silence. His warboard blinked once, then played a short message from Earth. The voice was calm, familiar, ancient. It said, "We remember who betrayed us, and we remember who helped. The time for silence has ended. The correction begins now." Within seconds, every screen in the galaxy changed. From council-controlled broadcasts to Earth's transmission, it was not violent. It was history. Footage long erased, files thought lost, truths hidden for thousands of years. The galaxy saw images of the original council, and among its founders, humans. Earth was not a backwater world. It was once the heart of the First Alliance. Until it was betrayed, its leaders exiled, its name wiped clean. And now the memory returned to all. The people of many worlds turned on their council leaders. They demanded truth. They demanded justice. Some even sent messages to Earth. "We didn't know. We want peace." But Earth didn't reply. Instead, 1,000 small drones appeared across council territory, not to attack, but to shut things down. Quietly, completely. Banks failed. Weapons locked. AI cores refused to obey. Ships became blind in space. It was not war. It was precision. Earth was not conquering. It was correcting. At the center of council space above their capital, a single human ship arrived. No guns, no shields, only light. It hovered in the sky, and from it came one voice. Not loud, not angry, just true. "You broke the galaxy. Now we fix it." The judgment. The sky above the council capital had never been so quiet. No ships moved. No lights blinked. Only one human vessel hovered in the silence, glowing softly like a star that remembered pain. Inside the council chambers, fear sat heavier than gravity. High Chancellor Drezek stood frozen, his voice gone, his pride broken. Behind him, the council's great screens glowed with a single word. Judgment. Across the galaxy, billions of eyes watched. No one spoke. No one moved. Every screen, every device, every translator repeated the same message. Judgment is not destruction. It is remembrance. Ta'at. The human ship above the capital did not fire. It simply pulsed with light, and in that light the council began to see. They saw what they had hidden, what they had erased. They saw the day Earth was cut from the first council. Not because it was weak, but because it refused to bow. They saw betrayal. They saw lies. And they saw who had signed the orders, names that still sat in the council today. Drezek fell to his knees, his hands shaking. He whispered, "It wasn't supposed to be remembered." The human voice returned. Calm, steady, it said, "You erased our names, but not our truth. You buried our past, but we are still here." Suddenly, the Earth ship released beams of light across the sky. They struck nothing. They burned no buildings. Instead, they formed shapes, figures from the past, humans in old robes standing with aliens, standing with friendship, with unity. And then, those same figures were shown being dragged away by those who now sat in power, by the very council that called Earth a threat. The truth burned brighter than any weapon, and it was unstoppable. Across council planets, revolts began. Peacefully at first, old council statues were torn down, new banners raised, ones bearing the old Earth symbol, a circle of light around a single blue dot. But Earth did not return to rule. They did not land. They did not claim territory. They only watched. And then they spoke once more. We do not come as conquerors. We do not come to lead. We come only to remind. The council dissolved within hours. Leaders resigned. Many vanished. Drezek disappeared into the shadows. No one looked for him. No one dared. A single transmission echoed through every ship and station. It said, "Let every world choose its own way. Let no one forget again. Earth does not need your throne. We only needed the galaxy to remember." And with that, the human ship rose into the stars. No trace, no engine trail, just gone. But its silence remained, like a promise, like a warning, like a judgment that did not destroy, but reshaped everything. The galaxy goes silent. The stars had never felt so quiet, not because sound had vanished, but because meaning had returned. Earth was gone again. Its ship disappeared beyond deep space. No one knew where it went. No one dared follow. The council was no more. Its flags torn down, its statues broken, its buildings now empty shells. The galaxy stood in the middle of something it didn't expect. Freedom. But freedom, they learned, comes with memory. And memory was heavier than chains. On the desert world of Tavros, a child stared up at the sky and asked her mother, "Were humans always this powerful?" And the mother, a scholar, replied, "No. They were always this kind." Across the old council colonies, walls of silence crumbled. Alien species who had never spoken to each other now shared stories of Earth, of kindness, of betrayal, of how humans had once united the stars, not with power, but with promises. And now those promises returned, not in armies but in echoes, in soft messages left behind by the departing Earthship. Messages in every tongue, every code, every form. Each said something slightly different, but they all ended the same. Choose better. 1,000 worlds found themselves asking the same question. What would Earth have done? Not what would Earth conquer, not what would Earth control, but what would Earth protect? In the ruins of the council chamber, now a museum, a lone recording played on loop. It showed the original council, before the betrayal, before Earth was erased, smiling together, different species, standing as equals. One alien child walked up to the screen, touched it gently, and whispered, "I want that back." Somewhere in a part of space that maps don't show, the Earth fleet floated in the quiet, not resting, not waiting, just watching. They had no need to speak anymore, because the galaxy was already listening, and sometime. Mez, the loudest voice, is the one that leaves first. In the end, no war was won, no crown claimed, no empire built, but the galaxy remembered, and in that memory, it found peace. And so the galaxy went silent, not in fear but in awe, because Earth had spoken, and then Earth had walked away.